Yes, good day, class. I want to appreciate your connection and your time on Metric Hub, Life Sciences Grade 10, Term 4. We want to talk about biodiversity and classification. I'm just aware that you are looking at the last section or the last component of our syllabus. Classification basically refers to the grouping and sorting of things according to similarities and differences. When we are to classify things, we can not only classify living organisms. Classification is done in various ways. When we identify items that are of the same group and we put them aside, when we do that according to similarities and differences, we are categorizing in simple terms. When we say we are classifying, it's about categorizing, it's about creating classes. So what we need to understand is that organisms are classified. Organisms are put into groups. So life forms are put into groups as a result of classification. As a result of classification, life forms are put into groups. So I'm saying the classification premises is on the basis of what? Of similarities and differences. Those organisms that have got a certain quality which makes them to be identical or to look alike or to be within the same category, we identify them as saying that they are the, or we put them in the same class. So this makes it easier for for scientists. It has made easier for information to be used. It has made everything easier in terms of how approach towards things can be done. So scientists, in terms of their study of life forms, a way of organizing biodiversity. So biodiversity can be well understood if there is a classification or if there is a categorization of organisms. So scientists attempt to classify organisms based on shared features to say that those organisms which are having specific features that are alike, they are therefore given a certain similar class, and then this increases the classification changes as in terms of as information increases. When information increases, there is general which we can give as a basic, and then we can go deep into the finer details or finer information, nitty-gritties that we can identify, and then can make the classification to change and to be more specific. So one of the currently used classification system is the five kingdom classification. To say we have got five kingdom classification system, which is we talk about the animalia, we talk about the plantae, we talk about the fungi, we have got the prostate, the prost we have got the bacteria or the monera, which is making the five species. So class, what I want you to understand is that when we are looking at classification, there is a history of classification of life forms that we need to understand. That when we look at comparative anatomy, which was used those years back or that time, those times ago. So it was only used in the classification of living organisms. So then, in that regard, you would find out that scientists and also scientists, they have to develop evidence from plantology and also embryology, which is also used of now to say that the similarities of the embryos, the similarities of organisms in terms of their body structure, in terms of the anatomical structure and so forth, made them to be classified in a similar class. But however, we have got further division and classification of organisms that I want you to understand: the genetics and physiology of organisms. Genetics, I'm sure that you remember to say, if we look at now in terms of people, we talk about people who are related because we say it's a family because those people have got a specific gene, or they've got a certain feature which they have, which makes them different from another family B. So family A, based on genetics and physiology, which is their physical appearance, which is affected because of their genetics, is actually giving a specific classification if we look into that. So it is a classification system which also came around, which also came into effect around the 20th century. And then we need to go deeper and then understand the use of evidence from molecular biology and also even genetics, which is still being used. And we need to understand that this is basically classification. And then we have got examples of classification systems that I want us to basically just understand that we can talk about the three classification systems that are most common. The most common classification systems, we have got the two kingdom system, the five kingdom system that I just mentioned now, and the three domain system, which is also some form of classification that I want you to take up to look at. And then when we talk about the two kingdom species or the two kingdom classification system, two kingdom classification, two kingdom classification, which actually give us or form give rise to what, to plants. We have got plants, and then we have got also what, we have got animals. I'm saying this is a basic classification or the main, when you talk about two kingdom classification, the plants and animals, organisms on earth, we can classify them according to plantae and also the animalia classification or class. So this classification system, which is also called the Linnaeus, that was developed by Linnaeus. I think you understand that. So now the two kingdom classification system class, you need to understand that it actually uses some certain characteristics that were used in terms of plants and animals. So what I want you to understand here is that plants are able to manufacture their own food by photosynthesis, while animals are unable to do so. So what is the reason why animals are not able? So plant cells are surrounded by outer cellulose and also cells, and also animals do not have this. So basically what I'm just saying is that plants, we can uh, uh, define them as what? As sedentary, as to say that they are creatures, meaning to say that they do not move. Well, animals, what? They are motile. Animals are motile. Animals are able to move, and then plants are sedentary. So what we are saying is that that is a basic classification that I want you to look at, and that is what we mean by classification of organisms. And then the five kingdom classification system terminology. I want us just to look at the five kingdom classification terminology. The organelles, in the eukaryotes are also bound by membranes. All organisms with the nuclear material not enclosed by membranes are called what? They are called the parrots. So now, what happens is that all the organisms found in this class do not have membranes. They do not have membranes. They are not. They do not have membranes. All organisms that are found in this class, they do not have membranes. So what I want us to understand is that we talk about the autotrophic organisms are those organisms that are able to manufacture their own food by photosynthesis, which I just said that we talk about the plantae. They are called, we are saying they are producers. They are able to manufacture their own food. And then the heterotrophic organisms are those organisms that are unable to manufacture their own food. And then this was actually another classification which was developed by Robert H. Whitaker in 1969, where all organisms also were classified into five kingdom based on what, on certain characteristics. We are still talking about classification in this case. We are still talking about classification. We are saying autotrophic and then the heterotrophic based on terms of how they are able to make their own food and others not being able. So now the organisms that feed on dead and decaying matter are called the saprophytes, the saproph. and then that organism that live in dead, that live of dead and decaying matter are called the saprophytes. The saprophytes mean to say that they feed on what? They feed on dead, decaying matter. Decomposers are also the organisms that feed on what? On dead material or waste of living organisms. We call them decomposers. Decomposers is another. We are just still on classification. As they feed, they release important nutrients for recycling. I'm sure that you remember last semester, last term, we were talking about what? The nutrient cycle. The nutrient the nutrient cycle. So organisms that are made that are made up of one cell only are called the unicellular. And then multicellular are those that are made of more than what? That are made of many cells. So what I'm basically doing here, I'm just building you in understanding of classification of organisms. And then a true nucleus is a nucleus that is surrounded by a nuclear membrane. And then uh, there are organisms that possesses true nuclei, which are called the eukaryotes, and then they possess a true nuclei. They possess a true nuclei. So now, what we need to understand is that the autotrophic organisms, they are able to manufacture their own food, and then these do not manufacture their own food, and they are unable to. They are not able to what? To manufacture their own food. So now, I mentioned this, and then I just wanted you to say that I want you to understand that when we talk about classification, we are just talking about grouping of organisms based on a specific characteristic in terms of their similarities and differences. So I've already mentioned to you again that we can talk about the autotrophic and the heterotrophic organisms, which we are saying it is a two kingdom classification, the plantae versus the animalia. So the animalia and the plantae, there are two main kingdoms when we talk about the what when we look at the classification of all living organisms based on the what on the two kingdom classification system. And then I want you to look at some other definition. What is uh, biodiversity? Biodiversity is a common term that we are using continuously, and is quite dominant in our science subject, which you need to understand its meaning. It describes the entire range of plants and animals, as in terms of the range, the variety. We are saying the variety of living organisms, the variety of living organisms. Obviously, when we say they are living, we are looking at what? At both plants and animals. We are saying in their variety of nature, we define that as biodiversity. It includes all forms of life in an area, all forms of life, all forms of life in an area, which we are saying all forms of life in an area, which we are talking about that is to say that that is what the plants and animals that we are talking about. Plants and animals in which we are looking at. So it can be used to degree. It also identifies degree of variation. Degree of variation. We also still under biodiversity within a given species. Within a given species, ecosystems, biome, and entire planet. So in terms of that, we can define it within some specific context, which we are saying biodiversity, it identifies the variety of life forms within a given species or within an area. So now, what I want you to look at now is that we want to look at the five kingdom system is what we want to look at. We want to look at five kingdom system, which we are saying is what kingdom system classification. We want to look at that five kingdom system classification is the most common way of grouping living organisms based on simple distinctive characteristics. We are saying there should be specific criteria that is being used. So now we are saying are always changing. Our classification systems are always changing as new information is made available. So as new discoveries are there, information is there. We are saying that we need to understand that classification system changes as well. The classification system, it will also change. Uh, Modern technology, we have got modern technology such as genetics, makes it possible to unveil evolutionary relationships to greater and greater detail. I'm sure that if we are going to be together, we are going to enjoy genetics anytime soon. We are going to enjoy evolution, which is also which also makes a greater content in our metric examinations. So genetics, it is the genes or the qualities that are found within an organism coming from the bloodline of an organism. It can be in plants or animals. They have got genes which gives them the shape and appearance of them, which affects their functioning, which affect their appearance. So what we are saying is that modern technology, which is through the genetics, which, for example, we talk about DNA profiling, uh, it is also another means through which relationships of organisms can be established. So the five kingdom system was developed by Whittaker in 1968, 1969, sorry, and was built on the work of previous biologists such as the Carlos Linnaeus, who are the ones who started this one, who are who were the pioneers in terms of classification of organisms. So living things can be classified into five major kingdoms, which I said one, we talk about the Animalia, we talk about the Plantae kingdom. Number two, we have got the kingdom fungi, we have got the Protista, and then we have got the kingdom Monera, which is the bacteria. We are saying this give us a five a five five major kingdoms of what of classification that we should look at. Five major kingdoms. Five major kingdoms that we have are such as this one that we have given here. So now let's just quickly look in the kingdom bacteria, which we say that is the kingdom Monera. So now it consists of the prokaryotic and the unicellular organisms. We defined this in the beginning that when we are looking at this, we explained the qualities of a unicellular organism and also the prokaryotic organisms. So no nuclear membrane or membrane-bound organelles such as what, such as chloroplast, such as the Golgi complex, the mitochondria, or endoplasmic reticulum are present in terms of what? In terms of the bacteria. They don't have the endoplasmic plasmic reticulum. They are not there. So it's made up mainly of bacteria and the blue green algae. The the bacteria and the blue green algae are the main examples that forms the what? The kingdom Monera. They are the ones which forms the kingdom Monera, this one that we are talking about. They give us the kingdom Monera that we are looking at. So some of the heterotrophic bacteria are parasitic or they are saprotrophic. I'm sure that you remember that we say that when we look at saprotrophic or saprophytes, we say that they live on dead decomposing material. So parasitic meaning to say that they feed on a certain, they are feeding on some certain living organisms. If we say they are parasitic, and then some parasitic bacteria maybe also be pathogenic. Pathogenic meaning to say that they can also be disease causing. They can also be disease causing organisms. They can also be disease causing organisms in other ways. So now, in that case, we also need to understand that the monora, they have a cell wall of protein plus the polysaccharide compound, but not cellulose. They do not have cellulose. Remember, we said that cellulose, uh, the fiber that is found mostly in plants. So, for example, we talk about the algae, the green algae. It does not have cellulose. It does not have that strong fiber which is found in it. I mean, in other vegetable or vegetation or plants. So they reproduce asexually by binary fusion, meaning to say that there is no fertilization that is taking place through seeds. So important examples include the archaea and the bacteria as good examples that we can give in terms of that. They are the typical examples that we can give in terms of uh, the asexual reproduction that is taking place there. There is no fertilization which takes place through the gametes, but however, they can reproduce on their own by having using, or we can talk about vegetative, or using their own organs to reproduce, I mean their own other parts to reproduce other than the gametes in terms of their reproduction and existence. So kingdom protista is number two. Uh, we are saying they are also eukaryotic and can be unicellular or simple multicellular. They can be both uni and multicellular, like we defined in the previous definition of these two. They reproduce sexually or asexually. They can do both, meaning to say that sexually they have got what gametes are used when we talk about sexually, and then asexually we say that without gametes or sex, we are saying they are produced without gametes, which we are saying that they reproduce without sex gametes. So asexually, they can use vegetative propagation, vegetative propagation is used where other parts of the plant are used in terms of what? In terms of reproduction. So they are divided into three groups based on nutrition and appearance, which are, we talk about the algae, we talk about the protozoan, and the slime molds. There are three best examples that we can give in that case. So now we are saying again that the important examples of the protists include the organisms known as the plasmodium, which causes malaria. I think you remember that it can also be called what? Anopheles mosquito. The Anopheles mosquito, which is also called the plasmodium organism, which is also an example of the protists. And then there are two major groups of protists, which include the protozoan. We said the protozoans whose cells are similar to animal cells in that they do not have cell walls. They do not have cell walls, and the plant-like cells, which we have cells, which we have cell walls, and are similar to what? To algae. So now, if you look at that, what you need to understand is that we are saying these are two main groups of what? Of the protists, which are supposed to be taken note of in regards to this classification or this kingdom that we are looking at. And then fungi, number three, the fungi, they obtain food by secreting enzymes into food. The fungi, they obtain food by secreting enzymes into food and then absorbing the digested food. So now what happens here is that in other ways, they are there in order, they actually cause some form of micro decomposition, which we are saying that digestion occurs or decomposition occurs by the fungi, which secrete enzymes into food and then absorbing the digested food. So when food is metabolized by the enzymes, these ones, the the fungi can therefore absorb the digested food there. So fungi are they are eukaryotic organisms that can be also multicellular or unicellular, and then many of the organisms found in this kingdom are decomposers. As I've said, that they are decomposers, they actually facilitate decomposition, facilitate or promote they promote decomposition. They promote decomposition. That is one thing that we need to know about the fungi. We have got mushroom and moths are typical example. Mushrooms, moths are examples of the multicellular fungi, and yeast is an example of a unicellular fungi. Yeast is an example in terms of the unicellular, and then all fungi have cell wall made of chitin. They've got cell wall that is made of chitin, and they are non-motile, which meaning to say that they are not capable to move. They are unable to move and consist of threads like they have threads like the fib. Fungi are heterotrophic organisms, which means that they can require organic compounds of carbon and nitrogen for nourishment. They cannot make their own food. They cannot make their own food. We say that autotrophic are the ones that are able to make their own food. So fungi are heterotrophic. They require organic compounds from carbon and nitrogen for their what? For their survival, which is for their nourishment. They are important as decomposers. They saprophyte and can be parasitic, meaning to say can cause parasitic, can cause also diseases, and also can feed on living organisms, other living organisms. When we say they are parasitic, meaning we say that they can also feed on other living organisms. So they store carbon as glycogen, not in the form of starch. Not in the form of starch. They can store carbon in the form of glycogen. Remember, glycogen is that form which we say that it is there to provide energy when glucose is metabolized. So fungi reproduce sexually and asexually by spore formation. I'm sure that you remember the life cycle of mosses and other types of vegetations that we have looked at before. They say the mosses. So we are saying that they reproduce asexual. So an important example of using fungi is the penicillin, a fungus which was used to make penicillin, one of the most powerful antibiotics ever created. It has been used in some time whereby it was used also to kill certain bacteria, mostly in terms of mosquito, which is also an antibiotic that was used to kill disease-causing bacteria or disease-causing organisms, like we talk about the mosquito. And then the kingdom plantae, which is kingdom number 4. The kingdom plantae is made of autotrophic organisms. Organisms belonging to the plant kingdom are the eukaryotic and multicellular organisms. They have distinct cells, and they've got distinct cell wall made of cellulose, made of fiber. Cells are organized into true plant tissues, which we say they are the tissues which we say the cellulose, which we are calling or which we are terming the cellulose. The cells are organized into true plant tissues. Like we said, others that we're defining, they don't have cellulose. They don't have the specific plant tissues. So plant contain plastids and photosynthetic pigments, which we define as chlorophyll. The green pigmentation on vegetation. The green pigmentation, which we say that it is also responsible for what? For making food. Making food for what? For vegetation. Vegetation makes food through what? Through the green pigmentation, which is on the leaves. They are also not able to move. They are non-motive. They are not able to move. Plants make their own food by photosynthesis, and they are therefore said to be autotrophic. They are also called autotrophic. They are called producers. They are autotrophic. They make their own food. Plants undergo both sexual and asexual reproduction, which we said vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation, which we talk about cuttings. It has to do with cuttings. It has to do with vegetative propagation. They store food as starchy, and also important examples of plants. We have got the mosses, we have the ferns, we have the conifers, and then flowering plants. Flowering plants, there are quite a lot of them, which we said that they also have seeds. They contain seeds in them. They do have seeds. They have got pods, which also contain seeds in them. So uh, that is about the plants. I'm sure that when you look at plants, we are able to understand them that there is also both vegetative and sexual reproduction, which also allows plants to say that they can also store starch. Plants can also, they do have chlorophyll, and we also understand that they photosynthesize, hence we call them autotrophic. And the kingdom Animalia, which is the last one, the kingdom Animalia. These are the characteristics that you are seeing. It is made of heterotrophic organisms that which we say that they ingest food and digest it inside their own bodies. They do absorption of nutrients because of food intake. Food is ingested, food is eaten. They eat food. They eat food and digest it in order to have the nutrients. For nutrients to be released, the food must be digested. So members of animal kingdom are eukaryotic and multicellular, but have no cell walls. They have no cell walls. Remember, cell walls are only these are only found in plants, only found in what? In plants. The cells are only found in plants. I'm sure that you remember when we talk about the animal and plant cell. A plant cell is the only one that is the one that has got what? A cell wall. And then they have got photosynthetic pigments. They are mostly motor, able to move. They are able to move, and they are heterotrophic, meaning to say that they cannot make their own food, which means they must feed on other organisms and cannot make their own food. They can feed, they must feed on other organisms and cannot make their own food. And again, they reproduce sexually or asexually. Sexually, we talk about what I said, the gametes. We say there is what? There is fertilization which occurs in them. Fertilization occurs in them. So therefore, animals store carbon as glycogen and fatty. These organisms occupy a variety of habitats. I'm sure we know that animals live in various habitats. They live in what? On land. They live also in water, and also they can also live in deserts. These are various places and habitats that we can identify and find animals. They are multicellular. They do not have cell walls around their cells. They do not have chlorophyll. We have also mentioned that therefore they are heterotrophic. And then we have got important examples of the kingdom include the sponges, we have got the jellyfish, the nematode, which we say the nematode worms, the flatworms. We also have the segmented worms, the snails, and squids. There are quite a lot of starfish. All these are examples, include the vertebrates, which are the fish, the amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. We are saying they are all examples of the Animalia kingdom. We are saying the kingdom Animalia is actually constituted by these characteristics. So please, class, just take note of this, and we can as well add more and also relate to the previous question papers that are going to come soon. Just keep on connected. Don't forget to share and like it, and also subscribe to our channel. And don't forget again that we are working together with many other international organizations, which you can find on our website, which is readily available. As you go in, as you connect to the channel, you shall see again that we have got our website, which is which is readily hosted or readily available for us to use. And I say that don't forget to share, like, and also uh, connect others. Let others come in. www.ict.education. It is quite good for you to connect and also find other related programs that can assist you. You have a beautiful stay, and let's keep on connected until we do it again. Don't forget to keep on following. Um, don't forget to keep on following and also sharing our videos. Thank you very much.